Hello, folks, and thank you for joining this special edition of Lumberjack Logic. I'm your host, Neil Johnson, and I want to thank my sponsors real quickly before we get into this video. I want to thank MyPillow.com, where you can enter promo code Lumberjack and save up to 66%. I love the pillows, especially the travel pillow that I will be using while I'm out elk hunting, and I love the towels as well. And I want to also thank Freedom Hill Coffee. And you can follow the link in the description below, or I will pin that comment as well. But freedomhillcoffee.com and enter promo code Lumberjack, or follow that link, and you will get some great coffee. All right. Thanks so much, folks, and I'll see you when I get back.
Well, good day, folks, and welcome to another edition of Lumberjack Logic. If you're watching this, I am probably out in some undisclosed location in Montana, trying to kill the biggest, baddest elk on planet Earth, or just any elk, because I'm a meat hunter by nature. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I have a special guest on today, and that's Constitution Vet. Some of you know him. You've seen him on my show before, but I pre-recorded with him some history lessons, because if we do not learn from history, we are doomed to repeat the failures, and we don't want to do that. So we're going to talk a little bit about state sovereignty. Constitution Vet is from Texas, so he's going to be utilizing Texas as an example. Imagine that. The Lone Star State, the great state of Texas, which actually has had saber rattling of secession lately, so that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in votes.
Yeah, it will.
You know, we want to stay united, although it seems to be getting tougher to do that these days. So are you ready for me to add your screen in and get rolling there?
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Neil. I appreciate it. So, yeah, the main topic for today is state sovereignty. Just give me 1 second. Let me go ahead and share my screen here.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've got it. He's got a PowerPoint, folks.
Yeah, I'm still old school. I'm still old school, but it works.
He's a little more. He goes into these things a little bit more dialed in, as should we say. Here we go. We got state sovereignty.
Here we go. Can you see it?
I can totally see it.
Fantastic. All right, guys. So we'll keep this straight, clear, concise, and to the point. So as you can tell, since fall of 2020, we're seeing states embrace a new defense against tyranny. That is state sovereignty. Now, you guys are intelligent. You can read this on your own. But the overall point to this is that we are seeing states embrace their own agency. Recently, as many of you know, the federal government has becoming more and more tyrannical. They are initiating policies that many states don't agree with. But what's very interesting is that the states don't have to agree with what the federal government is doing. In fact, from my beloved state of Texas, recent events showcase this. Here are some headlines starting earlier this year, as you can see here.
Oh, yeah. I remember some of these.
Mm-hmm.
The oil and gas drilling on federal lands and waters. I mean, yeah, obviously the mandates were way over the top.
And let's not forget, the federal government, our current surrender in chief, made it very clear that we were Neanderthals for daring to reopen our economy without their approval. You remember that?
Yeah. I do. That statement, Neanderthals.
That was Neanderthal thinking. My favorite one is at the very bottom, March 24th. Operation Lone Star was enacted. This is in direct response to the fact that the current administration has done nothing to secure our borders. Mm-hmm. And so Texas pulled a Thanos and says, fine, I'll take care of it myself.
Do you know what's so interesting about that? And I want to just cut in here real quick, but the federal borders are actually within federal purview. I mean, that's their job to enforce border law. So you see states like California going, we're a sanctuary state, or we're these sanctuary cities, completely bucking federal law that is actually completely constitutional and within the constitutional authority of the federal government, where with these Second Amendment sanctuary states, the federal government is overstepping its bounds, because it's clear that the Second Amendment says that the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So therefore, states are completely within their rights to say, get out of our business, because you are superseding your own powers.
Right. A few more examples from Texas. Recently, the Texas Senate passed legislation to ban CRT from all public schools. Texas governor bans vaccine mandates regardless of approval status. And most recently, the Texas law banning abortion as early as 6 weeks goes into full effect.
That is the greatest thing that's happened in the recent history.
With the Supreme Court not tearing it down. And if you go on YouTube or just go on Google, you will find article after article, video after video, just condemning this Neanderthal thinking.
Yeah, back to Neanderthal, are we?
But again, what we're seeing is a trend. We're seeing a pattern of a state recognizing its sovereignty and saying to the federal government, hey, we're not going to follow that order. We are not going to do that. Now, within the past few years, one topic has been kind of a joke. It's been passed around as a, haha, that's funny, that would never happen. And that's been of secession. However, this November, this bill will be brought to the Texas House floor. The idea of secession will be voted on. Now, to be clear, we're not going to secede this November. It's not going to happen. But what will happen is a conversation. And the vote will be, hey, are we going to have this discussion? Are we going to have this talk or not? If we are going to have this talk as Texans, then what that means is for the next couple of years, we're going to be planning to actually secede.
Mm-hmm.
And if we vote no, then we're not going to secede. But the point is, this is an actual bill being brought to the House floor in Texas Congress come November.
Yeah, it's a real conversation.
Right. It's no longer a laughing matter anymore. So what is this? Why is it that Texas is this unique state that has seized its sovereignty? So as you gleam at this beautiful picture of the Texas flag at the same height as the American flag, ask yourself this question. What caused Texas to become this renegade state of federal defiance? The answer? The Comanches. Without a doubt, the most powerful tribe in U.S. history. It was the Comanches that dictated everything that happened in the state of Texas from the very beginning to 1900. And that'll be the focus for the next slide here. And so I'll be explaining how modern day Texans get their maverick renegade ideology from the original lords of the land, and that was the Comanche. So from the mid-1700s to 1900, the Comanche Empire forestalled forestalled
Euro-American. Here to help.
It's a fancy way of saying that on this map, as you can tell, that entire region was controlled by the Comanches. Ranging from the Spanish Empire all the way to the United States after the Civil War, the Comanches held all those powers at bay. These ferocious horse lords dictated the evolution of Texas history. It was they who determined the wars. It was they who dictated the boundaries of Texas, not any Anglo-European. For almost 200 years, Texas was a land molded through bloodshed. And this is not an exaggeration. Every single day, if you lived in Texas, you fought to survive. The Comancheria, which was the Comanche Empire, forced you to embrace a life of constant struggle. Let's go down here. In this multinational game of Texas, you either win or you die. There is no middle ground. There was no peaceful coexistence. So look at the big picture for a second. Who controlled Texas? It was originally the native tribes. Then the Comanche rolled in and conquered it. The Spanish came in, and the Spanish Empire was not able to defeat the Comanches. The Mexican Empire was not able to defeat the Comanches. The French, not at all. The Texans, nope. The United States, nope. The Confederates, nope. It wasn't until 1900 that the final piece of the Comanche Empire was eventually defeated. The point is, Texas was never a pastoral setting. It was never a place, a peaceful way of life. It was a land that bred fierce warriors, fierce individuals. More than just land, the Comanche Empire produced these people who embraced struggle and fought for what they believed in. For example, here are two Comanche war chiefs, Buffalo Hump and Quanah Parker. Those who fought the Comanche had to be just as fierce and unwavering in their beliefs, such as Jack Hayes and Antonio Menchaca. But what about modern day? How can we connect history to modern day? Today, the Comanche ferocity lives in the political spectrum. People who fight for their beliefs in their state. On the left, we have Chip Roy grilling the Speaker of the House over her threat to arrest anyone who didn't wear masks. On the right is Dan Crenshaw, being the awesome guy that he is, just calling out the hypocrisy when he sees it. But what's even more interesting are the roles of influential people who move into Texas.
You know, Dan's been a little weak lately. I'm just going to be real there. My audience will agree. Like Dan's been kind of floating down the river. But anyhow, go on. I'm sorry.
Well, no, as of recently, if you want to talk about the garbage happening in Afghanistan, Chip Roy and Dan Crenshaw are the front runners in leading the call for impeachment for our surrender in chief. Dan Crenshaw made a very impassionate speech recently on that topic. The point being, you have modern day people in the federal government representing this state who do not back down, who do not tolerate weakness. But more importantly, as I was saying before, it's when you see influential people move into this land and eventually embrace the Texan ideology. Two examples are Joe Rogan and Elon Musk. That same passion, ignited by the Comanche, burns hot amongst influential people who embraced the Texan ideology. Both of these guys had major forms of operations in California, but they were sick of it. They got sick and tired of the tyranny that's happening over there. And so they moved to Texas. And all of a sudden, if you pay close attention to their social media, to what they're doing, they are embracing this unique ideology found in this state.
Yeah, Rogan's made big news lately. And Elon Musk, you know, one of the things I appreciated about him was he was out there working the line with his people in spite of the governor's orders. He said, come and get me. It was bold. I loved it. Anyways.
Yeah, absolutely.
I may not agree with this guy on everything, but I appreciated that.
Sure. And to be fair, you know, I'm not saying I completely agree with these two on everything, but what I am saying is look at the evidence.
Yeah.
When they come to a place like Texas, they start realizing, hey, this place embraces their sovereignty, and we like that.
Hey, wait, since you're selling Texas so much, I mean, you got to throw in the Aggies. I mean, I know where this, I know there's this, this guy is like, it's a cult, folks. It really is. No, anyways, go on. I'm sorry. I had to just.
Well, of course, you know, Neil told me that we have a time limit, so I didn't want to go too in depth. So what is the Texan ideology? To paraphrase in my own words, it's an unwavering commitment to protect one's individual liberty against all forms of tyranny. If that means embracing a life of struggle to achieve and maintain said liberty, then so be it. That really defines this state's sovereignty. Now, obviously, other states are also embracing their sovereignty, like Florida. Oh my gosh, they're leading the charge as well. But for my beloved state, my beloved state, this ideology comes from the Comanche. So, final takeaways. As Texas continues to fight against tyranny by embracing its sovereignty, more states will do the same. Constant warfare made Texas a land where only the strong survived. The Comanche Empire dominated Texas for almost 200 years, which molded fierce individuals who would rather die than surrender. Finally, the modern Texan embraces that renegade maverick ideology, eager to protect the liberties from abusive rulers. So again, any single time the federal government oversteps its bounds, some states will take the sheep approach and just say, oh, of course, yes, of course. No problem. Yes, absolutely.
Sounds like my governor.
But states like Florida and Texas are like, no, we're not going to do that. And then, of course, everyone loses their minds. But our
Yeah,
states keep on rolling. We don't care.
keep on rolling. Yeah, exactly. Not only do they keep on rolling, they keep outperforming. Okay, that's why all these New Yorkers are moving to Florida, and all these Californians are moving to Texas. Now, the only hope is that they don't wreck Texas and Florida like they've wrecked New York and California. And that's the great hope, folks. But there's a pioneer spirit in many people throughout many states in America, but it does seem to live stronger in the elected officials in certain states, like South Dakota, like Texas, like Idaho, like Montana. There's a number of legislative bills that have passed in those states that you can see that recent history. But going back to the Comanches, it's an amazing story. You got me the book, Constitution Vet, Empire of the Summer Moon. It's a great read. I thoroughly encourage anybody to read that. Do remember to subscribe, not only to my channel, but to Constitution Vet for your twice a week history lessons, folks. All right. A link is in the description below. Thank you so much for joining us today on Lumberjack Logic, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.